All right.
Are you ready,
Shoot.
Dbrunski?
I'm ready.
Are you pregnant? Sure. Okay. So probably you have this question as well for me, but Dbrunski, what do you want out of Diablo 4?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. It's hard to answer because I haven't really spent a lot of time playing Diablo 3, like very, very little. But I would say, like, obviously, like the newer mechanics and like gameplay and sort of like PoE with a
Oh,
grinding style based Diablo 2, right? So not like Diablo 3 where it's, super easy to get your items. I'd rather have it more like Diablo 2 where might take you, well, I guess it depends if it's a single player online if you're trading, but we're stuff like where an item like Death Fathom and D2 or
mhm.
Griffins, they're actually like sought out and valuable items and
Yeah.
not where like like again, it's hard for me because I haven't really played very much Diablo 3, but from my understanding is you can get the end gear, uh, like you get that really quickly, the equipment, and then it's just like grinding greater rifts over and over again.
Okay, so your main point is pretty much items, the way loot system works. You mentioned like single player, multiplayer. Do you give a shit about it, or it's just whatever?
When D4 comes out, which everybody knows it is coming out,
Yeah.
I will
Finally.
definitely play a lot of multiplayer. Like I definitely will, but it would be cool if they had single player as well. I just, gaming companies now, they were like gaming companies in the past were motivated by making profit as well, but now more so it's kind of more geared towards like, a monetization system of where you can like buy skins or buy item packs, stuff like that keep continuous revenue versus like one time buying the game and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think they'll include single player. Could be wrong,
Oh,
but
really? I'm actually curious. Like, do you think the whole cosmetic system, where you buy these little things that aren't even quality of life features, they're just purely cosmetics, but you pay them in cash. Do you think that shit would actually work in single player, or would it just be a complete bust?
I don't think it would work in single player at all. I think it would only work. I think that type of cosmetic stuff, like you buy Tyrell's Might's wings for your character, like a smaller version, I feel like that only works in multiplayer because you can like show it off to other people, right? I feel like that's the only thing that makes that type of like not loot system, the word I'm trying to use. It's only viable if like you can show it off, in my opinion. But
at the same time, like the Diablo 2, the very existence of it, how popular this game still is, it kind of proves otherwise. People are still playing this game, showing off, even though it's freaking single player. I mean, if you like, do you go frequently to the Diablo 2 Reddit?
No, I don't. I only check out D2JSP occasionally. I check out the trophy forum or whatever section. I enjoy seeing some of the crazy stuff there.
Okay.
But
yeah, if you went to Reddit, you would constantly see the most upvoted post being some random guy saying that, like, I literally remember seeing one post today while I was at work. It was one random guy saying that after X years, I finally found my SOJ and 100 plus upvotes. Like, Diablo 2 Reddit is pretty small, so 100 upvotes, that's quite a lot. And I frequently see that, just people sharing kind of, what's a good phrase for it? Showing off their single player items. So it's kind of fascinating.
See, I feel like while I agree with what you're saying, and obviously it's there because if you look it up on Reddit, like you're seeing the posts and stuff and sharing stuff, or even like in my Discord, people are sharing drop stuff all the time. But I feel like I could be totally off on this, but I feel like the only reason that single player exists in Diablo 2, or like why a lot of people play it, and there's always an exception to the rule, but I think a lot of it is for two reasons. One, people that don't like botting and form gold trade, how it ruins like the Battle.net economy, and then two, I think streamers streaming single player gameplay. I do like I really think when Diablo 4 comes out, 99.99% of people will play multiplayer if there even is a single player option.
Okay.
But I mean, I could be wrong. But like, you think it'd be split 50-50 down the middle? Like half.
I have no idea.
Play...
Like, I'm just. The thing that caught my kind of attention in what you said is that I think the reason. Well, yeah, probably the reason why people don't play multiplayer right now in Diablo 2 is because of the botting. Probably another reason is simply lag, because that's just atrocious. I would love to play like Diablo 2 with friends over TCP/IP, but I just cannot, just because of the lag. That's kind of annoying. But I honestly don't really have an opinion. Like, if I was to answer my own initial question, you know, what do I want out of Diablo 4? I don't care about the gameplay. I don't care whether it's action RPG, MMO RPG, simple RPG. I mean, probably I wouldn't like it if it was a strategy game, but apart from that, I really don't care. As long as it's like thematically, you know, from a theme perspective, from the darkness, kind of from the stylistically, I guess it's close to Diablo 2. As long as it's that, I don't really care. Now, obviously, there are a lot of things that Diablo 2 made well. A lot of mistakes were done in Diablo 3, and of course vice versa, but I think all of those like details, you know, like the loot system, like the monetization system, etc., it always boils down to execution. It's never like the concept that's wrong. Like, if you take free-to-play games, there are a lot of amazing examples of how to do a free-to-play game. And then if you take a subscription kind of based game, you see a lot of examples of a well balanced subscription kind of game. And you also see the horrible counterparts with each, like pricing structure, whatever. So I don't really care about all those things. I just care about the execution, and you know, as long as it's executed properly. And yeah, the only things I really care about is like the style, the theme, the dark horror, all that sexy stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's actually something that, now that you bring it up, I should have added that to my answer, that I do want to see like that dark atmosphere like you talked about in Diablo 2, or even kind of shifting a little bit further more towards like Diablo 1. Like, I don't know if you've played a lot of D1. I
Just
haven't
a little
until recently, and that game is even more kind of dark and twisted than Diablo 2. So they might not go that way because maybe they want to attract like a younger age group as well as an older age group. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what Diablo 3 was trying to do, and look how well that turned out.
That's true, yeah.
That's what Diablo Immortal is supposed to do, by the way. And so far it's not going that well. Yeah. I don't know.
It's one of those things, it's hard to please everybody.
Yeah, true. But regardless of that, we're in for a few fun years. Like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Diablo 4 is coming out in like 2 years. Maybe a bit more.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
at the earliest, I think, is 2 years. But I hope that they don't rush it, because I do think it'll be a good game, and I definitely will play it a bunch, for sure.
I'm actually, like, I just thought referencing Voltson, Lords of Mayhem. It's kind of another action RPG I've been following closely. And I'm referencing it because you said you hope they don't rush it. And some bad shit can happen when the developer doesn't rush the game. Like, if they tell they will deliver and then they don't rush it, I don't think it's like the best thing they can do in terms of purely communications. But that's kind of getting completely sidetracked, completely off topic.
Yeah. All right, we'll fire off. I'll go with my first question.
All right.
Okay, what do you think is the best and worst, like best/worst thing about Diablo 2?
Actually, I have a similar question. Okay, the worst and the best. Fuck. Like, the best one probably would have to be the loot system.
Okay.
It has to be the loot system. Like, I absolutely love the fact that there are so few crazy good items that you know, any experienced player can pretty much know all of them by heart. And yet they're so hard to find that even though you know them, not everyone actually has them. So it's just pretty much the rewarding experience, which personally to me, it just works wonder. I just love actually working for something and then the feeling when I get it. I fucking hate immediate gratification. It just rubs me completely the wrong way.
Yeah, it feels so much better when you know that you legitimately like earned that you worked your butt off for it.
Yeah, and you know the specific item you want and you work for it, unless it's fucking Cheerios, mate. Fuck that item. I'm not even bothering. I kind of abandoned all hopes in finding that item like literally ever in my life. Well, that's what.
Yeah, like 50,000 runs and also being lucky.
Yeah, the FLP experience just pretty much I don't know, crushed all of my remaining hope. Anyhow,
yeah.
As for the worst part about Diablo 2. Oh, that's actually a tough one. You'd think, like, there's obviously some clear ones, you know, like lag issues, which is kind of the fault of the technologies back in those days. Botting kind of doesn't matter to me, as I don't really play multiplayer, I only play single player. So, what's left? There's enough variety. The game is complex as it is. Like, fuck, I'm having a hard time coming up with a single thing. Oh, I'm being honest. Yeah, like, fuck. What would you pick as the worst thing about Diablo 2? Where did they mess up? Well,
if I'm going to answer the question, I'll answer both. And it's kind of like, you went very specific. So like your favorite thing was the loot system. Yeah. And then for like the worst thing, you kind of were having trouble pinpointing other than a couple like obvious things, right? I'm going to go kind of a little bit more broad with it. I think the best thing about Diablo 2 is variability in the way that you can build your character and the way that you can play your character. So, or in how you can play Diablo 2. So, I mean, you can go for PvP, just PvM messing around. You can go, you know, crushing, splitting hairs on efficiency, like 837 MF, Pindle Zerker Barb, and do, 50,000 runs. There's just, you can play online, you can play single player. There's different mods like Pluggy mod, which is Battle.net Online. Battle.net Offline, excuse me. You can play Pod or Media and Excel. Like, there's just so many different ways to play the game or to like build your character with different gear. But then tying in, I also think that's the worst thing about Diablo 2, because I feel like, I want to say 95% of like negativity in the Diablo 2 community is surrounded around either the way that you play the game or how you particularly like how you build a character. Like, just for instance, and this is just a totally one random example, but I feel like it happens all the time. On my 163 FCR Wind Druid build video, I found a 220 circlet with strength and lightning res. So it was basically like that one in choice slot piece of gear that I needed to reach 163. Now, I could have run 2 nice FCR rings and Heart of the Oak with that circlet, like with the other gear, but that kind of base set of combo of gear. But I kind of went a little bit differently, and I used an Isted Suicide Branch. So, Suicide Branch 50 FCR. Which makes it easier for me to reach that 163 breakpoint. I put an Ister in it for more MF, and then I wore an SOJ instead of 2 FCR rings. Now, getting back to my point is that I had somebody just flew off the handle at the fact that I didn't use Heart of the Oak in an FCR ring. And I mean, the difference is like an extra 300 to 400 NATO damage at the loss of mana. And I just wanted to tailor my character a little bit differently to have a little bit more MF versus the extra res and damage because I don't think it's really needed with cycling armor and farming the pits. But anyways, that's just like one small example. But I feel like if you go through D2JSP or you read Diablo.net or streaming or like YouTube comments on my channel or maybe even your channel, that people just get so wound and bent out of shape if you don't play the game or build your character the way that they want you. Yeah. So that's like a huge rant, but I think that's the best and worst thing about Diablo 2.
This is such a Canadian thing to say, you know. Like the best thing about Diablo 2 is variety, but it has no downside, so variety has to be the biggest downside. I don't know, it's like completely different for me. The variety, like all those random comments, etc., they're kind of like, I don't care about them at all. So, like, how do I put it? I 100% feel differently about variety than you. I enjoy it. I don't feel like it's lacking, and I don't really care that people get worked up about it. So
yeah, like I meant it as in not the variety is the worst part. It's like the surrounding negativity about it, sort of. I mean, I know that's just like one individual example of the comment, but
yeah, you go read through a good example. Yeah.
If you read through D2JSP or anywhere, like people will get so bent out of shape over the smallest thing if they don't think it's the way that it should be built, right? But
okay, fuck it. I have to turn on Diablo 2 to come up with an answer. What's the worst thing about Diablo 2? Because right now your answer did not help me one bit. So I still don't fucking know what's the worst thing about Diablo 2. I'm looking at the character screen.
We can skip it and come back to it.
It's like, fuck. I mean, the only downsides I can name to this game are pretty much like technical details that probably weren't possible back in those days. Yeah, I can come up with a decent answer.
Like screen shake? You hate screen? Just say you hate screen shake.
Screen shake? No, I fucking love it.
Okay, you hate when you fire up Diablo 2, that really loud, annoying...
I love it! It's part of Diablo 2's identity, the fucking ear-blowing experience.
Alright, okay, so then your next question then. You're up.
Alright, this one is not necessarily so Diablo 2, but it's kind of like more about Blizzard, I suppose. What's kind of your take on the discussion of what players think they want and what they actually want?
Like you mean like the interpretation of what the video game company thinks players want versus
not necessarily
for Diablo 2 specifically, or
not necessarily. Like World of Warcraft, Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4, even Diablo 3, all of them are perfect examples of, you know, kind of this disconnect between what players say they want and what the video game company thinks they actually want and need.
Right. Okay, I feel like this is a tough question to answer because there's always going to be like a back and forth where and what I mean by back and forth is the customer or like their video game player, whatever you want to call it. Trying to think of my words here. This is very bad. They're always going to want more for less, right? And the company's always going to want to get more for giving less, right? Yep. So if that makes any sense. Yep. But I feel like probably just like replayability with like frequent updates and then not being able to pay to win. I think those are the three things that consumer really wants in a new game. Like Diablo 4 to have replayability, not like where you just can whip out, you know, mommy or daddy's credit card and buy the best character. And then just, you know, frequent patch updates and changing things. Like, I feel like that's a lot of the reason why people get burnt out with the D2 is like, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, right? They just reset the ladder and it's new gear. Path of Diablo and Median XL has changed that a little bit, but I would say those are the three things as like a consumer would look for, and then I think the manufacturer would probably just be some type of monetization system to make as much money as they can, bringing in a new fan base while at the same time not alienating the existing fan base.
All right, so what would be like a good example? I guess the best example, like as we have it right now, I guess two examples come right at the top of my head. One is Blizzard finally backing down and understanding that they need to bring back World of Warcraft Classic after player base telling them that they want this for years. And the other example is that they fucked up Diablo 3 by making it too easy. Just because a few, well, maybe not a few, but there were quite a few people complaining that the game was too hard. So kind of, what's your take like on these two specific scenarios? Like, do you make any conclusions out of it?
Well, Diablo 2 is pretty hard for people that are new to the game, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
They don't understand FCR breakpoints and FHR breakpoints, and they don't realize like how good like stealth and a body armor is early on, or making, you know, spirited a crystal sword or lore or whatever. But I feel like if you take the time to learn the game, that it's not as hard. So I mean, when I first played Diablo 2 when I was like 12 or 13, I did struggle getting through the game. Mm-hmm. So in that aspect, maybe it was a little bit hard, but also I don't think I'd still be playing the game the way that I am today if it was like super easy. So what was your question again? Sorry. It was, do I think Diablo 2 is too hard?
It was actually Diablo 3. It was actually Diablo 3. But now that I repeat it, I kind of feel like you haven't played Diablo 3 that much. You're probably not into World of Warcraft that much.
No.
So my question is kind
really
of
hard for me to.
Yeah. All right, fuck it. Let's just skip it. Let's move on to your question then.
Okay, my question. 3 things that you would change in Diablo 2, and if you can't think of 3 things off the top of your head, just
I can't name a single one. Like, come on, dude. I couldn't even answer one worst thing about Diablo 2. I can't name a single bad thing about Diablo 2. Like, I think it's not perfect, perhaps, but I wouldn't want to change. I don't know. Fuck. Maybe I would adjust like the drop rate somewhere, but I don't really care about it. So I literally cannot answer this question.
Okay. Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there are 3. They're pretty simple things. But the first one is that I would just give melee characters a small like damage buff, because I feel like there's something to make it a tad bit easier. I wouldn't say not quite to the extent of Path of Diablo, where I feel like, you know, like Bozan's destroy now, but just something that, like, because you know it's like early on, what does everybody do magic finding, right? It's a Hell Blizzard Sorceress, right? Because a 0 scrapped geared barb is gonna suck. Now there is like specific rune words like Oath and that, which are like good budget rune words to make a melee character better, but I feel like casters always have the advantage. Even like high-end melee to high-end caster, they have an advantage. So I would just slightly buff like Bozans, druids and barbarians. I would maybe leave the Zealer alone, because the Zealer is pretty strong with high-end gear, but I would definitely do that. Second thing is I would enable a few of the items that are in Diablo 2's code that can't drop. I would enable them to drop. So things like Constrictor Ring, Merman Sprockets, rune words like Plague. Like there's a couple other. It just is a matter of just switching on or changing a couple coding files for a couple new items, a couple new rune words, and I feel like that alone would give you a whole bunch of new like builds and different like setups, and it would just add a lot more to the game by doing very little and not entirely changing it. Some people maybe don't agree that like Constrictoring would completely flip the game on its head. I don't think it would.
It's pretty broken, actually, as far as I remember.
It's definitely powerful, but okay, fair enough. So maybe not Constrictoring, but And then the final thing is a third Pandemonium event that doesn't give you anything groundbreaking, but something that's like a charm that maybe it's like $1 skills and it rolls like 25 to 50 MF. So it's not something groundbreaking, insane that's going to make your character way stronger, but it would just give you like more content to grind towards, like 3 different keys, 3 different organs or something. One more Pandemonium event. I think if you just put all 3 of those together, you'd be able to keep Diablo 2 feeling the way it is without changing it. Like, I feel like Pod's close to Diablo 2, but it just doesn't feel like Diablo 2 to me. Where I feel like those 3 changes game would still feel like Diablo 2, but it would add a lot more in like depth for different builds and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm actually looking at the Constriction ring right now. All resistances plus 100 on a freaking ring. 15 maximum resistances to all. 100% magic find and some minus life drain, which is kind of whatever. That's pretty broken in my book.
I didn't realize it was $100 res. I knew about the max res and MF, and it's 100 resistances?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Just absolutely broken.
So you could combine that with, like, imagine that on a Javazon and then just wear Phoenix, and then you're constantly throwing Lightning Fury. You'd have max res, constantly replenish your life.
That'd be broken. That'd be broken. Actually,
but maybe, what if you had it as like the same rarity as dropping like a Zod rune? So it does not drop very often. So when you finally get it, it's worth it. Would you agree to that point?
I don't know. I'm not sure actually, because there's a very fine line between Diablo 2 loot system being like this amazing thing and just becoming absolutely crap frustrating. Because the way it is right now is some of the best items you need, like for example Griffins comes to mind, like Death's Fathom, Death's Web, you know, the probably rarest items that are still absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
They're not the rarest. You have like Tyrael's Smite, you have like, I don't know, like Izadrin. So those items are pretty much impossible to find for a single player. But Death's Web,
well,
Death's
not
Fathom,
necessarily. I found one Zod rune, but
yeah. But you know, for every single Dbrunski, you have 10 Tobes who haven't found like a fifth of your Jah runes. So I'm not sure your argument is valid over there.
Okay.
My point is, like, you gotta make like the best items that you truly need. You gotta make them reachable, but not too easy, not too hard. So if the Constriction ring, which is clearly broken, everyone would want it. It would, you know, you can pretty much make builds, item setups around this exact item. Just changes everything dramatically. And make it pretty much out of reach for most of the people. I don't know. It might be frustrating.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Actually,
I didn't realize it was quite as broken to the extent that it is, but I do think that when you wear it, you do lose a lot of health really quickly, constantly.
Oh, it's draining your life. Is that how it works? Because it says minus 30 life drain. Oh, I guess, yeah, that's
when you're wearing it, it's constantly bleeding your life out.
2.93 life per second, so you just wear some replenished life on a single item and it just probably compensates for it.
But where would you get your replenished life source from, right?
Yeah.
There would be ways around it, I agree.
Okay, so it might not be as broken, though. I don't know, you can just chuck pots, worst case scenario. Can you actually die from Constriction ring? Now, that's the question. Can you actually die from it?
I bet you it's like poison, where you go down to like...
that would suck.
You go down to 1, right? And unless you get hit.
Okay. Actually,
I don't know. I've never used it. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, what I wanted to say is, now that you, say your things, told me the 3 things that you would like fixed about Diablo 2 or improved. The Boazons, specifically the damage of the bows, that's the one thing I would like improved. So I can that's the thing I don't like about Diablo 2 the most. the raw damage the bows have. It just for PV it just hurts. It really does. All right, so
yep. Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I was about to jump into the next question.
Give her, bud. Go ahead.
All right. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just kind of the opposite. Top 3 things you think Diablo 2 did right.
Did right.
Yeah, I prefer to focus on positives, you know?
Yeah, I feel like all the characters are, I feel like they did, I'm just going to answer one because it's hard for me to think of 3 off the top of my head, but, because we have touched on some other positives, but I do think that, the spread of characters and how each particular character kind of excels, right? Like, just for example, like a lightning sorceress decked out, tons of damage, he's a little fragile, versus an assassin, Trapson specifically, very tanky, but she just doesn't do quite as much damage, right? I feel like there's good balance there where, same thing, I guess, another comparative example, like Fire Sorceress, tons of damage, depending on the area you're farming. Fragile. Fire Druid, not quite as much damage, style points, but definitely like more tanky of a character. What was that?
Style points, all right.
But I feel like if you think of every different character, that they're really, like, they're spread out in the way that, like, you know what I mean? Like
it's like when somebody asks you which class is best in Diablo 2, the right answer is best at what? Is it best at making a playthrough on players 1 or players 8, playing twinked or untwinked, farming this area or that area, finding runes or finding items, etc., etc. And based on, you know, the circumstances, the answer will always be different.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a massive point. Any other 2 right off the top of your head?
Well, I feel like we mentioned, I like the way that the loot system works and how you have to kind of like grind your butt off, and it's rewarding. And I do feel like they did a good job of sort of like, with the exception of the Hammerden, I think, that with the way they spread immunities throughout the game for, you know, making character builds viable in certain areas. Like Blizzard Sorceress Tunnel's really good. You know, Fire Sorceress Chaos Sanctuary kind of sucks. There's a lot of fire immunes. You know, Hammerden just is pretty much everywhere except for Ancient Tunnels and Wave 2, but Veil.
Yeah.
But I do like the way that, you know, like Pitts has like the high damage archers, but not too much elemental damage. I like the way that they kind of, different areas are a little bit different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it probably wouldn't make my top 3 points, and just to quickly go through them. One is the loot system, obviously, because I've mentioned it a bunch of times before. The other one is just the style, the theme, you know, the aura that Diablo 2 dishes out. How difficult it is, like the hardcore aspect of Diablo 2. You know, even if you're playing a freaking Hammerden, a freaking Barbarian, whatever, you get into a pack of archers with fanaticism, cursed, and you can just melt away. So
yeah, it can be very unforgiving for sure.
Yeah, you can never face roll in Diablo 2 if you're playing hardcore. That's the main rule of hardcore, and I absolutely love it. So I had plenty of times to be able to still say that, which is, I don't know, pretty fascinating. But anyway, shoot your next one. We're running out of time over here.
Sure. Yeah, right before we go, I'm just gonna read off these boots to you, because I've just been like very, very casually focusing more on questions, but I've just been casually farming Shank with the Javazon. Pretty much just tally over Lightning Fury just while we're talking. But I just found 5 decks, 35 cold res, 38 light res, 34 fire res, gold fine boots.
Okay, can you repeat that?
5 to Dex, 35 cold res, 38 light res, 34 fire res with gold fine. Now the gold fine kind of sucks, but since I'm mostly play as a Telly's on, I don't care about faster unlock or FHR because I use Spirit. So those are like tri-res boots with five decks.
Pretty good. The only thing that's lacking is Magic Find. Maybe faster hit
Pretty
recovery, but that's pretty fucking good. Triple res over 30.
Yeah, triple res over 30, yeah.
Legit.
Here's my good luck term, Toby. Alright, so for my question number 3. The value of items specifically, do you think that the value of rare and useful items is very much skewed because of online trading with like form gold and botting? Like, do you think that it really skews the worth of particular items compared to grinding them yourself playing single player?
Okay, so the question is about Battle.net or single player?
Just pertaining to the value of items, do you think that like form gold and DGJSP community and like online trading and stuff and botting, do you think that it like significantly devalues the worth like of items? And do you kind of think that's like a good thing or a bad thing, or just sort of elaborate on like what your thoughts are on the value of items?
So I cannot speak for Battle.net players, but if I was a player like, well, I previously played online, but I never kind of noticed those bots and shit. That was a long time ago. But if I was to go from Battle.net into single player, fuck, I don't even know how I would feel. Like, it's tough answering this question because I just don't play online. I just only play single player. If I was to play online, then definitely like the entire excitement about finding hard to find items would just completely disappear just because of all the online trading and all that shit. So yeah, I think like the botting is definitely doing some massive damage to the trading system, like to the community in general. The trading part, I don't think it deals as much damage like compared to botting. First of all, the trading wouldn't be as harmful without the bots, and secondly, like you can't take away trading from games. It just won't work. There will always be people who want to trade, and they will find a way to do it. You can limit it somehow, you can make it inconvenient, you can protect your, I don't know, the most naive clients you have, but it's going to happen nevertheless. So, I don't know, I felt like I went off topic a bit there. Do you feel like I answered?
Well, I think you brought up a good point where I feel like, and I'm not necessarily saying that trading ruins the game, but I really do feel like, especially form gold and botting, significantly diminishes the value of items. I can just, like, when I've played online in the past, like, we're going back, like, the first time I seriously played online was about 6 years ago, because, like, growing up, kind of a lame story, but I grew up on a farm with no internet, so all my Diablo 2 was single player. And then school after high school was the first like experience playing online, and like I had people like midway into the ladder dropping me faith and all other types of crap, right? Like they were just giving me low runes to make stuff. And I just feel like, not necessarily like trading is a good thing, but I feel like just with form gold and then bots run 24/7, I feel like it really devalues the item, and that's why I like single player so much. Like, just recently, I got my first 15 damage cold wings. There's 15% cold damage night wings.
So don't fucking have any night wings. God damn it.
What?
I still don't have any night wings.
Okay, you don't even have one, but I found my first 15, and it's just because I hunted for it for so long.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's so much more valuable to me. Where on Battle.net, if it was not perfect dexed, I don't know if the cold absorb varies. There's dex cold absorb. There's always a 2 to skills, but basically it's kind of like, you know, if it's not perfect, it's not even remotely worth anything, right?
Yeah. There's definitely
399 damage. 399 damage grief would not be worth anything. You know, to people online, much, like late into a ladder or a non ladder, right? Like they want like a 400.
Yeah, true. Right, fair enough. Okay, it seems that I enjoy a bit of out of Diablo 2 questions, though, kind of connected to it. So my next one is action RPG future. Do you think the genre is limiting itself in terms of kind of endgame? Or do you think it's just kind of a chill genre where you farm and the farm itself absolutely has to be enjoyable?
Well, you got some really deep questions.
I spent like 5 minutes on them.
Oh, 5 is. Well, see, it's kind of like two-sided, right? Where I do feel like to an extent, maybe not all of it, not all the gaming audience in general, but I think it's shifting a little bit away from that type of gaming to more like first-person shooter stuff, or
Really?
you know what I mean? Like, I do think it's maybe on like a bit of a decline, but I do think that there's always going to be that core audience that likes that laid back, grinding nature of the game. And as long as there's like patch updates and new stuff to do, that I don't feel like that will ever truly die out. Like, I think that's one of the things holding D2 back, is that it doesn't get frequent patch updates. But I mean, I don't blame Blizzard. It's 20 years old. They don't make any money. Why would they invest any time, making new patches and changing the game around? So
would you like say that Path of Diablo approach, not Path of Diablo, oh my god, Path of Exile approach is kind of a key to success in action RPG, just keep publishing more and more content?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like that's why my second most frequently asked question besides why do you play single player is have you played PoE? And I feel like that's, if Diablo 4 met the PoE model, it could do really good. Like I would not be surprised, like if they 2 years, if they released like a super polished, really nice Diablo 4 that, dark and gritty, some aspects of PoE, like itemization of Diablo 2, like I could see a large portion of that gaming audience sort of like transitioning to Diablo 4 for at least like, I don't want to say short period of time, but at least like a moderately extended period of time. I mean, that's what my gut tells me, but
I don't know. I would fucking hate a Path of Exile type of Diablo 4. It would just kill me. Like from like Path of Exile is everything that is wrong with Diablo 3 amplified, to me personally. Well, maybe I'm a bit too harsh. Like they're doing a lot of things right in terms of game complexity, in terms of publishing new content, but the core gameplay is just holy shit. I cannot stand it. The face roll, and sure, maybe the early levels aren't a face roll. They're difficult. A lot of people told me that, but whenever I just watch somebody stream, and I do, it's kind of frequently because people keep pushing me to check out this game, so I just kind of have to. And I just see those face rolls, those fireworks, fiestas, everything exploding on screen. I just can't stand it. It's just literally the opposite.
Well, yeah,
of what I enjoy.
that is a really good point. The fireworks thing, it's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of pod. But carry on. I just wanted to agree with you. Like I do the fireworks thing, I don't like. It's one of the reasons why I don't like pod. Is just the explosions everywhere is a bit too much. I agree.
But it's actually funny though that if the only way to kind of continue with this genre, like having a game, an action RPG game, and the only way to continue for a developer to keep getting more money out of it is by publishing new content, then it has a problem of scalability. Like you have a certain limit of how much money you can make per hour spent of your employee, or per employee, whatever. I think revenue per employee is one of the metric that businesses use. So if that's the case, then actually the genre is truly limiting itself. It would be pretty sad. Personally, I think I've done a video about this, like how I would enjoy, how I would love to see the end game of action RPGs, or just Diablos in general. And it's kind of a mixture of MMO and action RPG in terms of obviously you need to keep publishing more content, but you can't just publish that content willy-nilly. Like, if you set kind of this precedent that you publish new content, a significant update, new areas, etc. every 3 months, and then somehow shit happens, shit hits the fan, and you don't publish it, and there's gonna be a shitstorm. So that, plus you're always under pressure to keep creating new content, or else you're just gonna go out of business. I don't think that's sustainable, and plus some of the patches are going to be hit or miss, which I'm not sure if it's a disadvantage, but ignoring that, I feel like some MMO kind of aspects have to just come into the end game of action RPGs to truly make it like a key to long-term success. Something along those lines.
To add to that point, though, like, updating the game doesn't necessarily every time have to be a complete from the ground up rework, right?
Yeah.
Like, it can also be like character balancing, or, you know, a little bit of shifting. Like, it does, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be. But I mean, you think, like, if Blizzard released like a small tweak patch update to the game, like 3 new rune words, you know, a little bit of tweaking to melee, bows on damage, and added a 3rd pandemonium event, like, you don't think people would freak out over that? And they could do that for not very much effort at all, like next to nothing, right? Turning on, adding a couple rune words, that's just like changing some coding, and
it would have a massive short-term effect. I'm not sure about the long-term effect. Probably negligible. I'm not sure about how easy it would actually how easy it would be for them to actually do so, because it might just be the case where they have no one kind of knowledgeable in developing Diablo 2, like the code of it. So they would probably need to spend a shit ton of time getting to know it than actually going in and changing it. Because the Battle.net community is definitely still there, so they won't be forgiving if by trying to improve something you kind of fuck up everything else. So then again, I'm not a developer, so why the fuck am I even talking about this point?
Well, I would think, I mean, I could maybe like agree that adding a pandemonium event might not be like next to no work. Like, there might be a little bit in depth, but something like adding a rune word, I would assume that, like, it would just be like, even if they're not familiar with the older coding, which, by the way, I know nothing about this game coding at all, but I feel like that somebody could look at the existing coding for a rune word Enigma and then duplicate it with a new item with different stats. Like, I feel like it wouldn't be that, you know, hard for them to do that.
That's kind of the problem. Like, the discussion we're having right now about this specific one point is kind of the problem that a lot of the internet almost always have. It's 2 people who have nothing to do with this area, in this case, well, developing fucking software or whatever, games.
Yeah.
They're discussing what a developer should do, or how it's done, or whether it's easy to do. It's kind of I don't know. We should probably move on to the next question. Yeah,
I agree, it's speculation, but I mean, Green Dude, who completely revamps Path to Diablo, does it all on his own, non-for-profit, doesn't have the backing of a company, and has completely changed, like, reworked characters, skill trees, added maps, tier mapping, right? So I feel like if somebody can do that on their own, I don't feel like it's a stretch to expect, like, a gaming company to not be fully competent to add a couple of rune words and change a couple things.
Fair enough.
Again, you do make a good point that I know nothing about. Like, I do know absolutely nothing about that, and it's pure speculation. But I see it from Blizzard's point of view as well, that they're not going to get anything from it.
Yeah.
Because, like, what, maybe a couple people will buy another CD key to come back to Diablo 2 to try it, which they probably wouldn't even cover their costs. So that's another reason, too, why I understand that they are not updating Diablo 2, is because it's a 19-year-old game now, right?
Yeah, 19, sadly. Oh my god.
I was going to say 20, but I didn't think it's that old.
No, it's still 19. Because, No, fuck. Is it 20? No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I just recently learned to say it's 19, not 18, so it has to be 19. Anyway, fuck.
Okay, so we got 10 more minutes for 2 more questions. What do you got? Are you gonna go first or am I gonna go first?
You go first. Mine is a really complicated one.
Okay. Just before I go, I'm gonna tell you about another rip find.
Alright. Shoot.
Superior matte bow, 2 to bow and crossbow skills, 10 enhanced damage, 2 to attack rating, but it's 5 open sockets.
Only 2 skills, but...
Yeah. Yep.
How many sockets? 5?
Well, not really. The skills isn't a big deal, but it's 5 open sockets.
Oh,
but...
so the faith, all those are 4 sockets, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Correctamundo. Maybe I can make a CTA in it.
CTA in it.
But back to my question.
All right.
Sorry, friend. Does your approach to the way you play Diablo 2 and stream Diablo 2, does it does it change because you are a content creator? So like the way you play or the way that you grind, like for specific itemization or whatever, does it change because you're a content creator, or do you just do it exactly the same way you would if you're just playing the game for fun? And
okay.
Yeah, like that's pretty much it.
Where's this question coming from?
Well, I'm just curious because I'm a content creator, so are you, and I just was wondering, like, if you think that it changes the way you play Diablo 2 or not.
Okay. Oh, well, there's actually a few layers to it, I suppose. So it's whenever I go streaming, it's not because I feel like I want to play Diablo 2. I play it's kind of the opposite. I play Diablo 2 because I want to stream. Goes something along those lines. So when a lot of the times when I stream, I really don't care what I'm playing. With that said, there are certain things that I will not stream just because I know that people don't really enjoy watching it. Like, I will stay away from leveling new characters, for example, unless I have like a good reason for it or I'm planning out like video series about it. I will probably grind with my sorceress a bit more than with my other characters, just because, again, I think people watch that a bit more. But then again, there's very few fucks I give about it, because my objective when I'm streaming isn't to have fun while playing the game, is to have fun while streaming. It's like the entire thing combined. So that, and probably I'm in this specific spot where I honestly don't really play Diablo 2 that much these days. And by these days, I mean like the past like 6 months, if not more, maybe like 8. Like in my free time, the last time I played Diablo 2, not for a video and not during a stream, it's probably like a year or more ago. Yeah. Like, I haven't really played Diablo 2 for fun in a long while. So that probably answers your question for the most part.
It's interesting because I would say, like, I'd still be playing D2 if I wasn't streaming. But with that being said, I would definitely play a little bit differently. Like I wouldn't do like 1,000 runs of a particular area, right? I would just do variety farming or whatever. I wouldn't try and do things like bulk collect 250 rare circlets for a video. So like in an aspect, being a content creator for me, it changes the kind of like the way I collect items and target farm for specific stuff while I'm playing. But in terms of like I don't, like you were saying, you kind of more, you stream and then you play Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Where it's, for me, it's like I play Diablo 2 and then stream it. if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly visible from the topics that we kind of talk about when we stream. You know, when you stream, it's pretty much always mostly focused about Diablo 2, assuming you're actually playing Diablo 2. In my streams, like the vast majority, at least half of the time, we're talking about random shit, from hentai to sex to drugs to alcohol to... I mean, you get the picture.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that said, if I wasn't streaming, if I wasn't making videos, I would still be collecting like hundreds of amulets to craft them all at the same time. I would still be probably doing like hundreds of runs, and then kind of maybe even noting down what kind of items I got. I enjoy numbers, that's the kind of guy I am, so I'd probably still be doing that. With that said, I think we're running out of time, so last question.
All right.
Are you ready, Dbrunski?
I'm ready.
Are you pregnant? I'm joking. That's not...
I didn't even know if you could see my reaction. What the fuck?
I was actually planning on opening this entire video with this question. But anyway, my last question, my true question. Where do you picture your YouTube channel being in a year or two? Yeah, just kind of broad like that.
Year or two, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do plan on, like, I am nowhere near close to being burnt out to Diablo 2. Like, I still have a blast playing it. With that being said, if I played it the amount that I do now solo, I would probably get a little bit fried from it. But just hanging out with the community, you know, and just hearing like people enjoy the videos or they enjoy the stream or whatever, that motivates me to keep playing on top of like really enjoying the game. So the next like year to 2 years, like I will be consistently playing Diablo 2. I'm gonna try and sift in more stuff along the lines of like ladder resets, group stuff, Path of Diablo, meeting XL. I do really want to play a lot of Diablo 1, the Belza mod or whatever it's called. Yeah. I just got it running. It looks like it's a lot of fun. So, but definitely will be all D2 focused. Gonna do a little bit of variety stuff on Twitch to kind of avoid a burnout, but when Diablo 4 comes out, I'll probably shift gears and go pure Diablo 4 for at least the first 6 months. Like at least. Like I just can't see myself being in the Diablo genre and having like I'm gonna say quote unquote like moderate size following. Like I'm not like 500,000 subs, but I just can't see myself you know, firing up a D2 stream and doing 100 bail runs like the week that Diablo 4 is released. There's just no way. Like, I'm sorry if like my hardcore Diablo 2 fans, like if that angers them, but I definitely will be playing a lot of Diablo 4. I won't entirely ban Diablo 2, but that's kind of where I see myself in the next 2 years. But that's a really good question, man. I should have thought of something like that, but I'm curious to hear what you
Okay, so just to clarify, so you're kind of creating content because you enjoy Diablo 2 so much. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm so like, my wife says I'm addicted to this game.
You probably are. You probably are. Okay, so fuck, man, we're so different. I'm playing Diablo 2 because I love creating content. I think. I love this game, but actually, at this very moment, like this past month or so, I haven't been gaming at all, unless it was for a video or streaming. So I'm just playing it to create content because I love creating content so much. So where do I picture myself in my channel being in a year or two? I truly don't care. As long as I keep like dishing out content that I enjoy, I don't really care whether it's about World of Warcraft, Diablo 2, Diablo 4, Fortnite. Well, no, probably. If I play Fortnite, just kill me. Anyway, that hears this, let me, you know, say this on the record. But yeah, apart from that, I really don't care as long as I keep allowing myself, keep having the freedom of making those stupid, cringy jokes, and you know, actually entertaining a few folks with them. I'll be happy. It's not about the game for me, I guess.
Fair enough, dude. Like I will say, being like a content creator, I respect that it's not like there's certain people that I'm not gonna like say names or anything, but I feel like they really try to just ride wherever the views are gonna go.
Oh yeah, I know what
whatever,
you're talking about.
And yeah, so the fact that like, and that's one of the reasons why like I'm going to stream. Like my Twitch channel is just entirely doing variety streaming, like PlayStation 3, 4 console, like old remaster games. Like I'm just playing that stuff because that's what I want to play. And whatever base that I build off of that is cool. Like I'm not trying to like, you know, stream on, like I know if I streamed on Diablo 2, if I streamed Diablo 2 on Twitch, that they would be bigger than my current variety streams. And I know that, but I don't care because like I want to play other games as well. The only reason I'm just using Twitch as an avenue for that is it just helps keep things split, because some people don't want to be, you know, force-fed other games like on their sub feed. Like it's just, some people don't care, some people don't like it, so like whatever. It's just a way of me segregating it. But
that makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, like I will say as a content creator, I respect that you enjoy making videos regardless of what they do, and you have fun doing it. And I feel like I'm the same way too. Like I definitely enjoy what I'm doing. Obviously, it is a lot of work as well.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And you can relate to that because you've actually made the video versus. I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between the extent of work that goes into like setting up a stream or making a video for those that have never done it. But
I think it's kind of different things, comparing apples to oranges, I would say.
But yeah,
like
yeah,
it's easy to underestimate how much work it goes into streaming. Then again,
no, I meant like both. Like I'm not saying I'm not saying streaming is not work. I mean, I think setting up a stream or making a video or whatever, I don't think there is a bit of disconnect on how much either takes, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. Fucking hard work. Probably isn't that hard, but it's time consuming. That's for sure. All right, so I'm out of questions, Dbrunski. What about you?
That's all I got. Well, one last thing. Who's your favorite Diablo 2 content creator besides yourself?
Toby.
Said beside yourself.
Yeah, I have at least 2 personalities. Come on.
Oh, okay.
No, in all seriousness, who do I give it to?
Waiting.
It has to go. And sorry, Dbrunski, it's not you. It has to go to Mr. Lama. And probably for a different reason than, well, actually, it might not be. Just purely based on his charisma. Like, I am 100%, 150% jealous of the way he can speak to the audience. I wish I could do that. I just envy him, and that's kind of the pleasure I get from watching him. I don't watch him frequently, I don't watch him a lot, but that's the thing I admire about him. And yeah, I think he's, in that specific aspect, he's ahead of everyone else. So, yeah. What about you, Dbrunski?
Well, it's certainly not you.
I'd be surprised.
I guess I don't really have one, to be honest. I enjoy everybody. Everybody makes their stuff, like everybody kind of brings a different thing to the table. Like Llama, you, like there's other people too, but everybody's kind of a little bit different, right? So like hardcore, more edgy jokes. You have speedrunning. You have, you know, everybody kind of brings a different thing to the table. So I would say I probably like everybody equally.
You know what? I just wrote on a sheet of paper and showed it to the camera.
What? Bullshit?
It's the word Canada. This is the most Canadian. Like, I take back what I said at the start of the video. This is the most Canadian answer you gave me today.
Okay.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I guess it's understandable. I don't know. Anyhow, it was a pleasure, actually. It was a very fun hour. It was fun, man. I didn't expect it to go this fast. That's pretty cool.
What was that?
I didn't expect the time to go this fast.
Oh yeah, no, it went
So
by pretty quickly. Yeah.
all right, so I guess that's it. Enjoy streaming, and let's publish this video today or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to come back. We'll revisit, maybe do another one. If there's any big Diablo news, maybe Diablo 4 announcement, we can do another one.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right, have fun streaming. I'm off. I need to, I don't know, rest. It's fucking 9 p.m. I need to go to bed in like an hour.
Oh, you sound married.